Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are going to study pricing decisions unit 13, that is pricing strategies. We have already discussed about the market structure, different types of market, what are their pricing strategy and what they should do. And we also discussed about the barriers to entry and how the farms are behaving and they are capable of behaving because of the market structure also. So objective of this unit is actually to understand different pricing strategies adopted by firms, and then we will discuss, try to find out, identify the relevance of these pricing strategies under different conditions, then apply the pricing decision to what situation. uh, Not every whatever we discussed till now actually from farm's point of view, but not every customer is willing to pay the same price for the same product. So, how is a seller to set prices to maximize business? The answer is the world of price discrimination. Example of price discrimination is different prices charged for movie, concert tickets from students and adults. Similarly, pricing for a same distance journey is different for different customers depending on their geographical locations. These are the example of your price discrimination, or you can say the kind of price strategy. Now the question is, how should a product be priced? Is that is of enormous importance to business, and most companies allocate substantial budgets to market research both before launching the new product and once launched after the launching of the new product. Then they try to set the price through the different stages of the product's life cycle, and they do this through, they spend a lot of money for that on market research before the production, after the production also. Now, the level of demand for a product at any price is the sum of what all individual consumers in the market would be willing to purchase. That we know, individual demand curve, summation of the individual demand curve, that is the market demand curve. And in the perfect competition, there are a large number of sellers and buyers. There, the market demand curve is horizontal and it is given. In case of imperfect competition, the demand curve, which is of alternatively the AR curve of the producers, that is sloping downward. So now here our question was that, do the consumers are willing to pay same price for every unit of product? So the demand or willingness to pay for any product is affected by three key factors. What are those key factors? Individual consumers' preferences for the different characteristics of the product. Like a product chocolate is wrapped in blue color, chocolate is wrapped in purple color, chocolate is wrapped in green color, and I might choose the blue one, somebody else might choose the purple one. If there is a price difference in between among these three, then I will decide whether to buy or not. So many other factors are there. Price is obviously one factor because we assume that the consumers are rational, but sometimes individuals consumers preferences also for different characteristics of the product, that also matters. Similarly, the price of close substitutes to the product and the price of goods that must be used in conjunction with it, those also matter. Like substitute goods are available at a lower price, then the consumer may shift by that particular product. Or maybe you are getting something extra by buying one particular good. That is, price of that good is also, you suppose you are buying laptop. For that you need batteries, so you have to buy batteries, suppose 10 batteries or 6 batteries, like that. So individual consumers preference for different characteristics of the product, that is one. The price of close substitutes to the product and the price of goods that must be used in conjunction with it, that is also another factor. Then the level of each individual consumer's income, that is another factor. These three factors are the key factors on the basis of which the willingness to pay of the by the consumers is decided. This applies to any product, be it soft drinks, be it automobiles, or be it laptops. There are certain common pricing strategies adopted by firms, including price discrimination. So what we are going to study in this unit, the different pricing strategies they are. One is concentration ratios, Herfindahl index and contestable market. These are one type of pricing strategy. Then price discrimination, another pricing strategy, peak load pricing, bundling, two-part tariffs, pricing of joint products, transfer pricing, and other pricing practices. These are different pricing strategies undertaken by the firms to sell their products. First, let us discuss concentration ratios, Orfindale index, and contestable market. What is concentration ratio? Concentration ratio is the degree by which an industry is dominated by a few large firms, that is known as concentration ratio. The sum of the market share percentage held by the largest specified number of firms in an industry that is taken into account. It is not that we are taking all the farms, those who are engaged in production in that particular sector. We have to take specified number of farms, and they must be the largest contributor to the sector. The concentration ratio ranges from 0 to 100%. An industry's concentration ratio indicates the degree of competition in the industry. For example, the soda industry, Coca-Cola and PepsiCo together, they contribute nearly 80% of the entire market share. Now we can see that this is a highly concentrated industry dominated by only three companies, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, two companies, Coca-Cola and PepsiCo. Another example of a concentrated industry is search engines, which is dominated by Google, Yahoo, and Microsoft. So we can say that the entire search engines industry is dominated by these three. So in the first one, 80% of the production is concentrated with Coca-Cola and PepsiCo. These give the percentage of total industry sales of 4, 8 or 12 largest firms in the industry. So the method is you have to take the biggest, largest four industries or largest eight industries or largest, not industries, farms or largest 12 farms in an industry. Change in average top four, usually top four farms are taken into account. Change in average top four farm share by sector is the standard procedure. An industry in which the four farm concentration ratio, four farm means top four farms, top four largest farms, the ratio is that is close to 100, then the market is clearly oligopolistic. An industry where this ratio is higher than 50% or 60%, more than 50 to 60%, then that is likely to be oligopolistic, or we can say likely to be imperfect market. So the four farm concentration ratio for most manufacturing industries in the United States is between 20 and 80%. Now, Herfindahl index. Herfindahl index is given by the sum of the squared value of the market share of all the farms in the industry. Suppose there are three farms. Farm 1 has 50% share, farm 2 has 25% share, farm 3 has 25% share. Now, these three farms are actually industry is composed of three farms. So now you can write down 50 by 100 square plus 30 is 25 by 100 square plus 25 by 100 square. That will give you the Herfindahl index. And suppose there is one farm, 100%. One farm is there, that is 100 square is equal to 10,000. Here that is 100%, so 100 by 100. Percentage is divided by 100. It can be set 10. It can be also measured like 100 by 100 square, that is equal to 1. That means Herfindahl index, it can be from 0 to 1. That is the measurement. If there are two farms in an industry with a 90% share of the market and the other with a 10%, then that is 90 by 100 plus 90 by 100 square plus 10 by 100 square is equal to 8200 divided 1000. That is equal to, is almost equal to 0.82, or you can say 82%. You You can say 82%. So Orfinal index can be measured like this, straight like this, or we can go through the definition, that is sum of the squared values of the market shares of all the farms in the industry. If each farm had a 50%, then 5,000, that is by concentration is Orfinal index will be 0.5 or 50%. So with 4 equal sized farms, industry H 2500 with 100 equal sized farms. Now suppose there are 4 equal sized farms in the industry with 100 with 25 4 equal farms means 20, sorry, 25 plus 25 plus 25 square, 25 square, 25 square plus 25 square, that is equal to, it will be coming 2500, it will come in 2500. Look at this, 625, 625, 1250, that is 2500. With 100, you can say with 100 farms with equal size, you can measure this way, 1 by 100 square plus 1 by 100 square plus 1 by 100 square. You can do this way, that is Herfinel index, or you can go through this one also, you can go through 25 by 100 square plus 25 by 100 square plus 25 by 100 square, that is equal to Herfinel index. Herfinel index can be from 0 to 1, or it can take the shape of this way for industry case. For in agricultural purpose, it is actually it is taken always 0 to 1. Okay. Now contestable markets. According to the theory of contestable markets, which was developed during the 80s, even if an industry has a single farm monopoly or only a few farms, that is oligopoly, it would still operate as if it were perfectly competitive if entry is absolutely free. That is, if other farms can enter into the market and they face exactly the same cost as the existing farm, and if exit is entirely costless, that means there is no sunk cost, so that the farm can exit in the industry without facing any loss of capital. In this type of situation, then that is known as contestable market, means other farms can enter into the market and they can compete with this with those who are already in the market, and that is absolutely free entry, and that is not having, is not the new farm doesn't have to incur any cost. Then that is, you can say, that is they are behaving as if they are perfectly competitive farm. An example of this might be an airline that establishes a service between two cities already served by other airlines, like Tata, Indian, yeah, our Indian Airlines is there, then Lufthansa, then Indigo. Suppose domestic flight, Indigo, Air Asia, then anybody else, other companies can also enter. So then they behave like a perfectly competitive firm. That's known as contestable market. Means the market can be contested by the new entrants. That is the idea. If the new entrant faces the same cost as existing airlines and could subsequently leave the market by simply reassigning its planes to other routes, or maybe selling it to the other farms without incurring any loss of capital, then that type of situation is known as contestable market. When entry is absolutely free and exit is entirely costless, the market is known as contestable market. Farms will then operate as if they were perfectly competitive and sell at a price which only covers their average cost. That is, P is equal to AC, so that they can earn zero normal profit or zero economic profit or normal profit, even if there is only one farm or a few of them in the market. Now, next is price discrimination. It is a selling strategy that charges customers different prices for the same product or service based on what the seller thinks they can get the customer to agree to. That means in pure here, the seller is thinking that the consumer is capable of paying more. Then in that case, they can charge a higher price. That is known as price discrimination. In pure price discrimination, the seller charges each customer the maximum price they will pay. In economic jargon, price discrimination is usually termed monopoly price discrimination, because price discrimination cannot happen in a perfectly competitive industry in equilibrium. Monopoly power must be present in a market for price discrimination to exist. Price discrimination refers to a situation where the monopoly firm charges different prices for exactly the same product. In a competitive market, consumers would simply buy from the cheapest seller and producer would sell to the highest bidders, and that would be that. But with monopoly power, the opportunity may exist for the firms to offer different terms, of which price is only one component. So they can offer different terms to different purchasers, thus dividing the market, a practice known as market segmentation, or market is divided into different segments. The monopoly firm, a single seller in the market, can discriminate between different buyers by charging them different prices because it has the power to control price and it has the power to change the output. The buyers of its product have no choice but to buy from it, as the product has no close substitutes. Three types of price discriminations are found: first degree price discrimination, second degree price discrimination, and third degree price discrimination. First degree price discrimination refers to a situation where the monopolist charges a different price for different units of output according to the willingness to pay of the consumer. Example, a doctor who is the only super specialist in a town may charge different fee for conducting surgery from different patients based on their ability to pay. Under first degree price discrimination, the full benefit from the trade between buyer and seller accrues to the seller. That means the consumer surplus is completely wiped out in case of first degree price discrimination. One strategy to achieve first degree price discrimination is to sell to the highest bidders through sealed bid auctions. The auction approach is best suited for situations where the volume of sales are low, usually due to scarcity of the product, where there are many potential buyers who are buyers and they all have access to the same information about the product's characteristics. The auction approach would enable the seller to identify these buyers with the highest willingness to pay and would yield the highest possible revenues for the same production cost. If there is bidding, then the highest payment, the person who is going for doing the highest payment, he will get that product. This is a common strategy for the sale of very special type of production products such as art objects, antique furniture, or the rights to the mining and exploration of plots of land. It is not suitable for most bulk produced products. Perfect or past first degree price discrimination can occur when a farm knows the maximum price the individual is willing to pay for each successive unit. The farm could then charge that highest price for each successive unit and capture the entire consumer surplus. So suppose this is the diagram. I'm going for the diagram. Suppose this is the thing. This is the demand, and this is the demand. Suppose this is the market price. Now this is market price OX and OY. Now this is demand. Now suppose this is F. So DPF is the consumer surplus. DPF is the what he is willing to buy minus what he actually buys. Now what will happen is that suppose this is OX. Let us divide it to one unit. So what the monopolist will do, he will charge for this much this price. Then second, he will charge for the second unit, he will charge this price. Then for third unit, he will charge this much, this price is changing, and slowly every successive unit is going to be sold by the seller to the consumer. For every unit, the consumer is paying a different price, and this consumer surplus is entirely taken by the monopolist. taken by monopolist. So here the monopolist is charging price for each successive unit and capturing the entire consumer surplus. All forms of price discrimination involve some monopoly power, but perfect price discrimination involves a degree of monopoly power which is rarely found in the real world. Now, second degree price discrimination refers to a situation where the monopolist charges different prices for different sets of units of the same product. Example, the electricity charges per unit of the first 100 kilowatt hour per hour of power consumption may be different from the rate changed for the additional 100 kilowatt per hour. Now, this is one example of second degree price discrimination. Similarly, railway passenger fares. The per kilometer fare is higher for the first few kilometers while it declines as the distance increases. That is also known as telescopic pricing or telescoping charges. So, the discrimination is based on volume of purchases. Where the auction approach is not feasible, the company must do its best to approximate the first degree outcome using its price structure. This is based on the notion that an individual consumer derives diminishing satisfaction from each successive unit of any product used consumed. This form of price discrimination, which is based on the volume of consumers' purchases, is very common and is known as second degree price discrimination. Other forms of second degree price discrimination include tier tariffs, that is, prices where consumers must pay a flat fee for access and then a separate fee for uses. This is typical of many clubs, amusement parks, transport facilities which are offering monthly or annual passes. Here, the traveler who travels infrequently pays on average a higher price per trip because the fixed access cost is spread over fewer trips. On the other hand, the high volume user spreads this fixed cost over so many trips that he or she may actually sit next to the infrequent traveler, consume the exact same services, but end up paying a lower average price for any given trip. Second degree price discrimination is also referred to as multi-part pricing. It is a block or step type of pricing in which the first set of unit is sold at one price, a second set at a lower price, a third set at a still lower price, and so on. This is different from a quantity discount in which the lower price applies to all units purchased. In second degree price discrimination, the lower price applies only to units purchased in that block. The buyer must have already paid the higher price for the earlier units. Now, example is there. There are so many examples. Let me discuss only one, and then we'll go to figure 13.1. Many retailers adopt second degree price discrimination for encouraging customers to buy in bulk. Example, when a customer buys one shirt, he will be charged full MRP for that maximum retail price, say 2000. But if he buys one more shirt, then he will be given a discount of rupees 1000 on that. So the first shirt will be sold at rupees 2000, and the second shirt will be second shirt will be sold at rupees 1000. So that means if you are paying 3000 rupees, you are getting one extra. So indirectly, what is the message is that the consumer thinks that I'm getting two shirts for 1500 rupees each. So he gets some consumer surplus, or he gets some satisfaction out of that. So here the first shirt is actually charged 2000, and second shirt is actually is charged 1000 if you are buying the first shirt, not that you are buying the second one directly. Now let us go to the figure. There is a graph. Let us say the seller faces the demand curve D of a typical consumer. Although the cost function, we haven't shown the cost function here. Now suppose the equilibrium condition is here. Let us assume the equilibrium condition at this point, marginal cost curve is actually cutting the sorry, at this point is the price, this is the marginal cost, sorry, marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. This is wrong. Marginal revenue is equal to, suppose this is marginal revenue, marginal cost, and this is the price. Okay, this is wrong. Let me see what is the second one. pointer of sales. Okay. Now, what is happening? Yes. So now look at this here. Now this is the equilibrium. This is the thing, and you find that this is price OP star, and 1 minute. Something happened to the pointer. Where? Okay. Now, what is happening here is that this is the equilibrium condition, which is written here, T star. The shaded area, this area, whole area was consumer surplus if the price was charged OP, if price was equal to P star. If price was equal to P star, you find the consumer surplus. Suppose this is A and this is C. The C is already there, A, B, C is already there. So D, suppose this is E and this is F. So the if price is charged at P star, consumer surplus is actually D, this is F, DFE. DFE is the consumer surplus. Now suppose what the producer will do. Producer for Q1 amount of output, producer will charge a price P1, OP1. So first OQ1 amount of output, this point is O. First OQ1 amount of output is sold at P1 price. So second Q1 Q star amount of output is sold at OP star price. Now what is happening here? The first half, the consumer surplus is being reduced this much. The consumer surplus is this much only. And in this case, second case, what is happening, that this is the consumer surplus here. Now this part P2, P1, BC is going to the seller. This part of consumer surplus is going to the seller. This part is going to the seller. That means consumer is paying more price to the seller, and that is why you find that that is going to the consumer surplus is observed by the seller, and the consumer buys Q1 units at price P1 and Q2 units at price P2, and that portion of the consumer surplus labeled P1, P1, BC, P2. Why I have written P2, P1, BC is the same thing, now captured by the farm rather than by the consumer. So here the consumer's benefit is going to the producer, but still there is a large portion of consumer surplus is in consumer's hand. Here this much, this is in consumer hand, and this is in consumer hand. So in second degree price discrimination, some part of consumer surplus stays with consumers. But in case of first degree price discrimination, since every unit is charged different price, so the entire consumer surplus is wiped out and it is taken up by the seller. Now, third degree price discrimination. When the monopolist firm divides the market into two or more markets, groups of buyers, like suppose things are available in a posh market, things are available in a very big mall, things are available in a ordinary market where everybody goes, then the same product will be charged a different price in the mall and a different price in the ordinary market. That is the basic idea. So when the monopolist firm divides the market into two or more markets for different groups, two groups of buyers or segments, and charges different prices in each market, it is known as third degree price discrimination. Pricing based on what type of consumer is going to the purchasing, is doing the purchasing rather than the volume of purchase, is an approach known as third degree price discrimination. So for third degree price discrimination requires the seller should be able to segment or separate the market so that goods sold in one market cannot be resold by the buyers in another. That is the assumption, and identify the distinct demand curves with different price elasticities for each market segments. Now here, the example like students are the main basic beneficiaries of third degrees price discrimination schemes, since their demand is more sensitive than the population at large. There are other examples like senior citizens one price for them, and the young people another price for them, and so on. Now this example here, this is a typical example of the student and businessman that you can go through. It's not a big thing, you can understand that. The pricing scheme can be quite complex and may combine elements of second and third degree price discrimination. For example, discounted travel passes for students and pensioners. It combines both second degree and third degree price discrimination. This is the fixing of total output and different prices in the two sub-markets. This I have got it from internet, and here this is one market. This market demand is inelastic. In this market demand is elastic. Here is one marginal revenue. Here is market B. There is another marginal revenue. Marginal revenue and marginal cost are actually cutting at this point. Okay, now this MR, this AMR is the summation of MR, the summation of this MRA plus MRB. That is the combined MR, and that is the MC curve. This is the combined. So OM amount of output was distributed with two markets. So OM1 plus OM2 is equal to total amount of product OM. Okay, that is one product. OM1 amount of product is sold in market 1 with a higher price, and OM2 amount of product is sold in market number 2 at a lower price, and this is the entire thing is actually going to the producer. Now here at this price, you can say that they are reduced consumption, consumer surplus is reduced, and this is the equilibrium condition, and the shaded area, that is the MR into this MR is equal to MC, and this will be the price average. This will be the price. Look at this, like this. Look at this MR and AR, that is becoming like this because price is similarly here. Price is also, average revenue is also joined here. So this is the idea about the sub market third degree price discrimination. In any case, the main danger to the seller is that customers have an incentives to get together and trade among themselves to benefit from existing price differentials. Now, the seller engaging in price discrimination must therefore take measures such as passport checks at the departure gate and photos on rail passes to make sure consumers are not able to engage in arbitrage or profit from their access to a lower price by selling to someone to whom such access is precluded. The other danger of price discrimination seller faces is that a rival firm may enter with a single price that undercuts the existing firm's higher price. Then the rival will draw away the most profitable market segments, and the original company will only be left with the low margin discount buyers. That is why price discrimination is only possible in imperfectly competitive markets where direct competition by rivals is made difficult by entry barriers such as established brand names, differentiated product. These things we have discussed in our earlier units. Now next is peak load pricing. Peak load pricing is a type of third degree price discrimination in which the discrimination base is temporal. That means it is based on time. That is why it is known as temporal. The discrimination base is temporal, that is on the basis of time. We single out this particular form of price discrimination in part because of its widespread use. Peak load pricing example, but remember all forms of third degree price discrimination, including peak load pricing, involves a seller attempting to capitalize on the fact that the buyer's demand elasticities vary. Otherwise, it cannot happen. The buyer's elasticities of demand vary in different markets, then only it is possible. Third degree price discrimination is possible. In case of peak load pricing, customer demand elasticities vary with time. Earlier what we discussed, third degree price discrimination, that is in different markets at the same time, but here the demand elasticities are varying over the time, with time. Very few business economic activities are characterized by an absolutely constant demand during all seasons of the year and at all times of the day. That is why the sellers take advantage of these situations, because our demand doesn't remain same all over the year. Now, for example, like hotel booking price for vacation spots. That is, if you're booking it, so in the suppose month of May, you're booking it hotel in Kashmir. In Kashmir, it will be very high because that is the tourism season. In tourism season, the prices, the charges by hotels, um, flight by train it is not there because in India it is a government is the monopolist, so it is not there. But in India they have started this kind of luxury trains are there. So that is again the peak time, the one price will be there, and off time the, I mean that is the down season, then the price will be different. So like for some activities, fluctuation in demand are very significant. These variations sometimes relatively stable and predictable. Hotel booking price, one example, during peak season summer, hotel booking charges are highest. Travelers are encouraged to visit hill stations during slack period, and those who visit during peak season pay relatively higher prices. Whenever price discrimination is based on time differentials, the objective of the selling firm is to charge a higher price for the product during the more inelastic period and lower price during the more elastic period. Now, bundling is another way of pricing strategy. Buy one and get the second at half price. That is the example of bundling. Like buying one camera is bought, you can buy with it, you will get free tripod. Okay, or even hotel staying, you are getting complimentary breakfast. These are examples of bundling. Bundling is the practice of selling two or more separate products together for a single price. That is, bundling takes place when goods or services which could be sold separately are sold as a package. Now, pure bundling products are sold only as bundles. They are not available outside the bundle. Mixed bundling products are sold both separately as well as in a bundle. And tying, the purchase of the main product requires the purchase of another product that should be tied with the product, which is generally an additionally complementary product. Now let us look at this pure bundling. That means all the products you have to buy. The three products, suppose there are three products, you have to buy a bundle of three products like three soaps in one packet. Then you have to pay for a pay price for that. That is pure bundling. Involves selling two products only as a package and not separately. For example, Microsoft Office 365 is available bundle of different applications like Word, Excel, etc. You cannot buy these applications separately. You have to buy this in bundle only, like 500 gram or 1 kilo. That is the measure. You have to buy one special quantity. So Microsoft has followed this practice, that is bundling. Pure bundling. Mixed bundling is that your product, each product has a different price. You can buy the individual product, but and at the same time you can buy a bundled product. American fast food companies example are mixed bundling. Mixed bundling involves selling products separately as well as a bundle. So you can buy all the four products in a give one price in a bundle, or you can buy individual product and pay another price. That is known as mixed bundling. Then time means one is tied to the other one. Your lead product, then the tie-in product, another product is tied to it. Tying involves purchases of the main product along with the purchase of another product, which is generally an additional complementary product. Like customers who leased a photocopying machine had to buy photocopy paper. Another, it's not free, that we have to buy another component. Here in this example, photocopy paper, but like suppose you are buying, what is the example I can give? Uh, there are so many, you just find it out, there are so many examples are there. Like Kodak camera, nowadays camera is not there, is not much, people are buying mobiles and cameras available in that, so that is why nowadays is not there. So another case of time was by Kodak, in which Kodak held a monopoly in the market for Kodak copier parts. Kodak engaged in time when it refused to sell its parts to consumer or independent service provider except in connection with a Kodak service contract. Today, when you buy a matchstick razor, you must buy the tied product, that is the cartridge. Yes, this is one good example of time. Now, financial bundling is also there. Financial bundling has become very widespread. Manufacturing is becoming becoming the loss leader of the profit chain for many companies. So, in other words, give away the product, make money on the lending that is bundled with it. In India, too, a number of automobile companies are providing finance. This is known as finance bundling. Financial bundling, you are buying the car, then the financing is available by the car company. That is known as financial bundling. Bundling can be good for consumers. It can reduce search cost. The bundled goods are at the same place, as well as the producer's distribution cost is going to be reduced. There are lower transaction costs because a single purchase is cheaper to carry out than multiple ones, and the producer may be more efficient bundler than the customer. More than the customer, the producer knows very good how what to choose and what combination to choose. So few of us choose after all to buy the individual parts of a computer to assemble them ourselves. The person who is assembling, he has better knowledge, so that producer may be an efficient bundler in that sense. In perfectly competitive market, bundling should happen only if it is more efficient than selling the product separately. Where there is less than perfect competition, that is most markets, economic models suggest that bundling sometimes benefits consumers and sometimes producers. When the farms have a measure of market power, they can engage in price discrimination, charging different prices to different customers. Bundling can play a part in price discrimination, as different bundles of goods and prices may appeal to different customers. This is an example here. If time permits, we will come back to it. Now there is two-part tariffs. Two-part tariffs, that is one of the techniques which requires buyers to pay a fee for the right to purchase their product and then to pay a regular price per unit of that product. For example, mobile telecom operators A, B, etc. used to charge a monthly fixed charge and then additional charges based on usage for their postpaid plans, like your BSNL, like your Geo, all these example mobile telecom operators, they are charging a, like suppose you have to put some amount of money every month. There is a fixed amount, then there is a variable amount. There is a fee, then you have to pay extra whatever you are using. The fee for privilege of service plus prices for services consumed is called a two-part tariff. This must be underlined. This remember this one. The fee for privilege of service plus prices for services consumed is called two-part tariff. Theme parks such as DW usually employ such a pricing. That is in Delhi, I think DW, or you just take such as A, B, you can take such as A or B. The theme parks such as A, some company name, usually employ such a pricing scheme to increase their profit. To see how the scheme works, let us discuss the theme park situation. Now, suppose there is a single, let me come to the diagram here. Now, look at this diagram. What is the diagram? MC cutting the MR curve at 4, that is rides per visit on the x-axis, y-axis is the price, and there is a demand for ride and the cost of ride. Okay. Now, the MC is cutting MR at a point, this point, MC is cutting MR, this point. So this is the equilibrium point. Now take the line parallel to y-axis, let it cut it at B and let it cut it here. So this is 4 units. So for 4 units, what is happening? Each tourist would be willing to pay more than 24. That is the seller's idea. Seller thinks that seller knows the demand curve of the consumer, and seller knows that the consumers will be more than happy to pay more than 24. This is 4 and this is 6. Look at this. This is here. This is 6 rupees for 4 rides. So 6 into 4 is 24 that can be charged by the seller. Now the seller thinks that the consumer is going to pay more than 24. So what he will do? Suppose you know the demand curve for rides, you know that a typical tourist is enjoying a consumer surplus of rupees 8 here. This is rupees 8. Look at this. C and ABC triangle. You try the formula of triangle: area half into base into perpendicular. So half base is 4 into 4 into this that is 6, 10 minus 6, that is equal to 4. So this is ABC, that is the consumer surplus, that is the amount is rupees 8. Now if consumer surplus is 8, so if the entire thing is charged by the seller in addition to 6 rupees per ride, you can add 8 rupees per tourist to your profit. Now that means the consumer is paying 6 into 4, that is 24 rupees for 4 rides plus 8 rupees, suppose entry fee 8 rupees. So the consumer is going to pay 32 rupees and the consumer doesn't mind. Then that is the entire thing is pocketed by the seller. That is the for each consumer. And just imagine how many consumers are coming to the market. Now similarly, given the demand curve of a typical tourist, you can add still more to your revenue from each tourist if you simply eliminate the price per ride and just charge an admission fee equal to the consumer surplus at zero price ride. Suppose this is the zero price. For that, actually this is the demand 10 rides per day. Then you can charge the entire thing. Suppose you are charging, that is the entire thing is half into 10 into 10, that is equal to 50. So this is C O and this 10 here. The entire thing can be absorbed by the consumer by giving them a free ride, 10 rides by rupees pay, by asking them to pay 50 rupees. So 50 rupees you are going to get 10 rides free. That also the seller can do. Now here the tourist, instead of 32 rupees, it is paying 50 rupees and it is getting 10 free rides. 10 free rides. So this is another way of usurping the consumer surplus. With more rides, your marginal costs will increase and thus your profit might not increase. This is the problem here. With more rides, then the marginal cost might be increasing here. For more rides, we have to spend more money and then profit may become less. Also, if you extract the entire consumer surplus with a single entry fee, then that is 50 rupees, then you increase the tourist's cost per visit. So the total number of admissions will fall. These two are the repercussions of this type of price discrimination. Okay. Now a two-part tariff, this type of price discrimination is often a good way to increase profit by extracting some but not all of the consumer surplus from monopolist clients. Monopolists usually experiment with various two-part tariff pricing schemes before hitting on the one that gives them maximum profit. So we can go through this example also later on. Now let us come to the pricing of joint products. Products can be related in production as well as demand. One type of production interdependency exists when goods are jointly produced in fixed proportions. The process of producing leather shoes and handbags in a leather factory is a good example of fixed proportion in production. Each unit provides a certain amount of leather shoes and handbags. There is little that the leather factory can do to alter the proportions of these two products. Because when goods are produced in fixed proportion, they should be thought of as a product package. Because there is no way to produce one part of this package without also producing the other part, there is no conceptual basis for allocating total production costs between the two goods. These costs are meaning only in terms of product package, like leather shoes and leather handbags. You are cutting for a handbag, then leather is surplus leather is remaining. Then you can prepare. You can produce shoes out of that. So basically, from one kind of input you can produce, that is a package of product. So the cost here is a meaning only in terms of product package. Now this is the example calculating the profit maximizing prices for joint products. Let's the example, assume a retailer sells leather shoes and handbags. The two goods are assumed to be jointly produced in fixed proportions. Okay. The marginal cost equation for the product package is given by MC is equal to 30 plus 5Q. That is marginal cost of producing leather shoes and handbags. but the market demand or the price is equal to 60 minus 1q in case of shoes, and in case of handbags it is 80 minus 2q. So that is the demand, market demand. So demand curve or average revenue curve, from that you can find out the marginal revenue curve by taking the it is an example is written wrong. It is the marginal revenue. This is price. Okay, price multiplied by, yes, price into Q is equal to total revenue. 60 Q plus Q square is equal to total revenue. Marginal revenue is equal to derivative of total revenue with respect to output. That is 60 minus 2q in the first case, and second case it will be 80 minus 4q. This you can do on it your own. What do it on your own. What prices should be charged for shoes and handbags? How many win units for the product package should be produced? Summing the two marginal revenues, we have to add these two marginal revenues. This one plus this one. This is giving us 140 minus 6q. The optimal quantity is determined by MRT and MC cutting each other. So MRC, you can write down here, MRT must be equal to MC. Instead of writing MR1 is equal to MC, MR2 is equal to MC, we have to write MRT is equal to MC. Now here, this is equal to MRT is equal to 140 minus 6Q, and MC is given here, 30 plus 5Q. Now from this, Q is equal to 10. So Q is equal to 10. That is the amount of output in the if putting it in the demand curve, that is price here. Put it here, value of Q. You find that shoes price will be 50 and handbag price will be $60. The marginal revenue at this output rate should be computed for each product to assure that neither is negative. This is important. Substituting Q is equal to 10 into two marginal revenue equations gives 40 for each good. Because both marginal revenues are positive, the price is just given maximizes profit. If marginal revenue for either product is negative, the quantity sold of that product should be reduced to the point where marginal revenue equals 0. This is the idea of calculating your profit maximizing pricing strategy in case of joint product, that is profit maximizing prices, setting profit maximizing prices for joint products. Now next is transfer pricing. Transfer pricing, a lot of companies have divided their operations into several divisions. Transfer pricing is setting the price for goods that are sold between these related legal entities. Okay, legal entities between companies. It means the prices of goods which is paid by one unit of an organization to another unit of an organization. Like example, branch A of a company sells goods to branch B. The price paid by B is the transfer payment. Now, transactions covered under transfer pricing are sale of finished goods, purchase of raw materials, IT-enabled services, etc., support services. So many examples are there, and these are actually transactions covered under, these type of transactions are covered under transfer pricing. Purpose of transfer pricing is that profits of different units can be ascertained separately, and this helps in separate performance evaluation of each unit of an organization. Transfer pricing also impact resource allocation among different units of an organization. Like Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, is responsible for governing transfer pricing for multinational companies. Through transfer pricing, multinationals try to take tax advantage, and that is the reason OECD has set some guidelines. It has specified a particular principle named arm's length principle for these type of dealings between related parties. ALP or arm length principle states that prices should be set by assuming each party as independent, not dependent or related parties. In simple words, it means transfer pricing means transaction should be executed at fair market price. In addition to this principle, guidelines also specify different methods of transfer pricing. What are those methods? These methods can be divided into two main heads, that is traditional transaction method and transactional profit method. Traditional transaction method is again that can be composed of, one is comparable uncontrolled price method, CUP method. Under this method, comparison is done between the terms and conditions of uncontrolled transactions and controlled transactions. This requires high standard comparable data to ensure that transaction has been done on the basis of ALP. Now, second component of traditional transaction method is resale price method. In this method, selling price of a product is used, which is known as resale price. Margin amount and different costs are deducted to determine resale price. Now, last one, that is cost plus method. Under this, a markup amount or profit amount is added to the total cost incurred by the supplier unit of the organization. Now, transactional profit method, under this, the comparable profit method is one. Here, the basis of the transfer price is net profit of controlled transaction. Profit split method, this pricing method is used where companies are engaged in interconnected transactions and profits are separated by examining how unrelated parties would split profits in similar transactions. Now, there are other pricing strategies in addition to those. One is prestige pricing. Prestige pricing is a type of pricing strategy where a product is placed at a higher price because consumers associate it that higher price with higher quality, and a prestige or status is attached to the ownership of that product. Like image pricing, Nike is one of the best examples of prestige pricing. Nike shows means you have very good quality, you have a status or you have some prestige, that is known as prestige pricing. The companies deliberately sell those products at a higher price because of the brand value. Okay. Now, price skimming, it is a strategy where a company charges high prices from consumers at first and earns substantial profits, later reduces the prices gradually to attract other customers who are price sensitive. Apple is the best example of this type of pricing strategy. Now, you buy iPhone or buy a iPad, the beginning you have to kind of you have to pay a very high amount for that, and the firms are actually earning substantial profit. Now, penetration pricing, that is another pricing strategy. Companies charge relatively lower prices for their product to attract customers and increase the market share. This pricing strategy is to lure customers away from competitors' product. Psychological pricing involves pricing that has impact on the psychology of the consumer. The popular example you can take is that Bata shoes are nowadays, I don't know, but when you go to the market, shoes will be 499 rupees per pair or 599. You think that that is actually you are paying something 500 something, but actually you are paying 600. That is the strategy that is known as psychological strategy. Now, in summary, we can say that for a farm to be able and willing to engage in price discrimination or to extract the consumer surplus, the buyers of the farm's product must fall into classes with considerable differences among classes in the price elasticity of demand for the product. And it must be possible to identify and segregate these classes at moderate cost. So let us go back to our example that is in red thing I discussed here. We can discuss this one. When theme parks amusement rides opened, it was the first amusement park of its kind in Mumbai and had no precedent to go by. As the objective was to sell the concept to as many people as possible, it avoided charging a composite fee. For a steep entrance fee would keep families away. So instead, it selected what seemed the most sensible approach, that is, pay as you go. It charged an entrance fee of rupees 5 for children, rupees 10 for adults. and the individual rights were priced between rupees 2 and rupees 15. Later, however, theme parks amusement rights jettisoned the split pricing strategy and switched over to composite pricing. Under the new tariff structure, children were charged a fee of rupees 80 while adults had to pay rupees 100. There were no charges levied on the rights. What prompted the switch? According to their vice president, they found difficult to implement the pay as you go strategy because of logistical problems. Similarly, one more here was there, that is, you can discuss, this is the price discrimination. In a celebrated case that got much media attention, Microsoft was accused of anti-competitive conduct in bundling Internet Explorer and Windows as a pure bundle. Microsoft claimed they are not a bundle at all, rather a single product incapable of being broken into parts. It is, of course, difficult to settle such arguments, but the interesting aspect is that the company here that is accused, that is Windows and Internet Explorer, both were together. It is of is that the company does not consider its product, that is Windows and Internet Explorer, as being capable of being broken into parts. Okay, this is an example. So similarly, there are a lot of examples. You can go through that and you can find about that regarding your price strategy or pricing strategy, different pricing strategy, and what are the, some of them are theoretical and some of them are very practical, very, that is happening in our day-to-day life. And pricing strategies are possible in case of imperfect markets, and that is possible in case when the consumers have different elasticities for different type of products. Then that depends on both buyers as well as the structure of the market, barriers to entry, other factors are there. Okay, now that is over. Thank you. I think today is your last class for the MBA. Please go through the earlier slides. You can contact me in my email if it is there. You can ask, clear your doubts. Thank you all. Bye bye.